Hello and welcome to Your Average Bear. On today's video, Bejeweled swords. Why? Well, because shut up, that's why. Seriously, your Space Marines are cool, chainswords are awesome. Don't your dudes deserve a little bling on their cutting weapons? I think they do. Let's go find out and see what they look like. Right now. Okay, so I'm sort of excited about this. You're probably wondering what the heck I'm talking about. What I'm talking about are these little sequin-looking deals. They're little plastic gemstones that are just the right size to fit at the very bottom of the pommel of a power sword or similar Space Marine weapon. So it's relatively straightforward, right? They're going to go at the very end, at the very bottom of the sword. So there's a little spot there for it. I mean, I could probably just put it on right there, but I want to do a decent job. So I'm going to have to file this down flat so that it looks like it's part of the sword design, not just a piece of plastic I stuck on there. And I'm going to do the same thing to several other of the weapons for this Death Watch team, even though it seems to fit better with some rather than others. Like here, for example, on this Thunderhammer, there's no decoration, there's no ornamentation at the very bottom of the haft, but what stopped us from putting in a little gemstone there? I think it would look really cool. I haven't seen anyone do this before, and there's probably a very good reason for it. It probably looks lame. However, I haven't seen it, so it's not yet lame to me. Maybe if I manage to mess these up, I will have learned my lesson, and I'll have understood why people don't do this. So, let's get started, shall we? I'm going to file down just some of these weapons. There are a number of these chainswords on these kill team members that already have like at the very bottom of the haft, they have like a really cool decoration that I don't want to get rid of. That one survives. There's a few more like that, so I'm going to leave this alone. It's these that are kind of plain. Those are the ones that are going to get defaced. Let's face it, I'm going to call it bedazzled. And there's a couple of ways to go about it. I'm just going to go with the power tool because I don't want to be here filing for 30 minutes. Just want to get them flat. Alright, so I finished shaving off. I'm guessing those are called pommels, I'm not sure. You'll notice the sword here is now flat at the bottom. It was a pretty quick process, just touching the very end there with the rotary tool. I tried to go very fast because I don't want it to melt the plastic too much. I want it to actually sand off. So there we go. All these have a flat surface except for this Thunderhammer, which already had a flat surface. So now it's a matter of getting these little gem deals and figuring out how to get them onto the model. And I don't know exactly what's going to stick. I'm going to go with the least extreme method and escalate from there. So I'm going to go with plastic cement, even though I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. I want to rule it out objectively. that it actually might work. Can you guys see it? Man, it's really hard to tell. It's settled. Maybe I'll take some photographs and look and show you guys. But yeah, it's on there. Like, there you go. With the light reflecting off it, you can see it. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like it. It's not as goofy as I was afraid of, but it's also not as cool as I was hoping for. It's kind of right in the middle. It's a very subtle little detail that maybe nobody is ever going to know is there. Except for you. You'll know it's there. If you try this, you'll know that some of your swords are bedazzled as an indication of just how awesome you are. Because honestly, who else is going to have a bedazzled sword? Probably just you. Okay, they're on. I'm going to take pictures of these as opposed to trying to like shove them up in front of the camera. I'll take pictures of them so that you can see them to the best effect. And so those are coming up right now. All right, so while the pictures are going, I just wanted to add some closing remarks. This was a pretty short video. It was a quick and admittedly pretty goofy tips video. It's just one of those things I've been wanting to try because I don't know what it would look like, and it had the potential to be cool. Of course, it also had the potential to look horrible, or at the very least ruin a model I had already finished painting, which is kind of the worst case scenario for me, and that's how I've ended up waiting for months and months and months to do this. But yeah, it's pretty quick. If you don't have a rotary tool, it's going to take you a little longer, filing them down by hand. But it's not a big area that you're going to file down. You just want to be careful, especially since you want to add these little jewels at the very end of the painting process. You don't want to run the risk of getting any paint on them because they're transparent, they're crystally, and the paint will basically ruin that effect. You don't want to do that. So yeah, make sure to wait till at least very, very close to the very end of your model building process. Oh, the other thing that you'll want to do is make sure to have a pair of tweezers. I have a pair of ceramic tip tweezers. I find that I use them a lot for my kits, although I primarily need them for when I'm magnetizing, but I use them in a bunch of other places because they're still tweezers, and they're really nice. So if you don't have a pair of tweezers, ceramic or otherwise, I recommend you getting them for projects just like this one. But here's the thing. So take a look at these guys and tell me what you see. Well, okay, so not really tell me because, you're not here, but it's hard to see the little diamond or the little gemstones that I put on the pommels, right? So I've got one here. So I've got one there. I've got one here. And I've got one here. So there's one on each of these models, but these are the ones that are kind of front and center of this particular lineup. And they're really hard to spot, right? So here's the deal, at least in my estimation. Doing this doesn't add a ton of value, right? There's not a lot that you're adding to your model. Maybe if I had chosen like a larger gemstone that kind of sticks out more, it's more visible, more prominent, then maybe that value proposition would change a little bit. So you're not adding a ton to your models. by doing something like this, which I think may be the reason that no one that I've seen has tried this or done this, or at least, published, a video about doing this. Having said that, I used the word value for a reason, right? I didn't use benefit and I didn't use cost. I used value. Value is a ratio between cost and benefit, right? So if something is really, really costly and it has very small benefit, then it's low value. Same thing if it's not very costly, but it has really high value, or it has really high benefit, then it has a high value. In this case, it's kind of a meh value because it doesn't add a ton of benefit, right? In order to actually see the benefit, you kind of have to hold the model or kind of turn it around and then potentially notice and go, oh yeah, look at that, that's cool, I've never seen that before. So there is some benefit, right? Your models are a little cooler. And if you do this, you know that you did it. So there is a bit more benefit, right? It's not public benefit, but there is a private satisfaction of saying, hey, look, my models are slightly different than everyone else's models. So in my head, they're cooler still. So there is benefit there. And it's balanced out by the fact that it's got a relatively low cost. At least in time, the little gemstones don't cost much. They're a couple of bucks for I think 20. You'll need some sanding discs or your Dremel tool or your rotary tool, and I assume you've already got one of those. So the total cost is pretty low. The total benefit is pretty low. Combine those and you've got it's decent value. Nothing to write home about. It's not something that you absolutely must do, but it's something that you could do to make your models a little more neat, and that's kind of it. Just for bragging rights for you and your buddies. But I did it. I was happy to do it, and now that I know how little effort it takes to do it, I might actually do it some more. I'm envisioning doing this to an Eldar army. Instead of those soul gems, add little crystals like this. That would be a ton of work, but it might look cool. If I ever do an Eldar army, I am tempted to do something like that. But for now, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. And if you decide to try this, let me know. I'm really curious to see if anyone out there is interested in this or if it's just me. It's probably just me. You've been watching Your Average Bear. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your like and your subscribe that I know is coming. I'll see you next week. Be nice to yourselves and each other. Peace.